Welcome back to Alkaline TV. This is Douglas Dennis, the Alkaline Chef. Today we're making spelt bread, and this is one of the best recipes ever. Seriously, check this out and try it yourself. Look how amazing that looks. There are a couple tricks that make this really, really amazing. Better than your average spelt bread. So we start with 4 cups of spelt flour, and I have a link in the description for the exact flour I use. And then 2 teaspoons of sea salt. I was using pink sea salt, but any sea salt is good. And 1/4 of a cup agave. Get it all out. And now we want to combine this just so it's mixed well. But you could add your secret ingredient here. This isn't it, but this is natural spring water. So I use sparkling spring water, and here are 2 different kinds I grabbed from the store. One of them is in a glass container, one of them is in plastic. I prefer glass, but it's usually more expensive. So we're gonna slowly add a couple cups of this spring water, and you just want to stir it in and drizzle it in a little bit at a time. Now if you have an electronic mixer, this is so much easier, and I have gotten one since making this video, but this is the old-fashioned way to just use good old-fashioned elbow grease. So we need some more water. Now you can add about a 1/2 cup more, but I added a full cup more and then had to end up adding more flour because it was too wet. And I have a couple more bread videos coming out, so you'll be able to see several different amazing bread recipes. Definitely won't leave you feeling the need for bread. You'll be totally satisfied. Alright, now I could have stopped putting the water in before this point, but I added it all in, and then I just added some more flour because this is way too wet for bread dough. But I have a couple ingredients that I want to add here before I add the rest of the flour. Stick around to find out what the secret ingredients are. And again, this is much easier in an electronic mixer, but this is how to do it. If you don't have one, you're just left stirring it for several minutes. It's a good shoulder workout. Alright, this is completely combined, so I'm adding in the thyme, and this is homegrown thyme, and I used about 1 teaspoon, but the more the merrier. And then I'm also adding 2 teaspoons of grapeseed oil, but that's optional. And now here I'm adding in more flour. I added in at least another cup, but I added in gradually, as you can see here. And then once it gets to the consistency that I want it, then it's ready to put into the loaf. So this is how you do it, a little bit at a time. If it's not at the desired consistency, you can just keep powdering it more and more. You don't want it to be too sticky like pizza dough. This right here looks like even a little bit too sticky for pizza dough. But once you've made this several times, you'll be very comfortable mixing up the dough, and you might even get to the point where you don't need to measure. because the ingredients are very simple. The sea salt and the thyme are what gives it the flavor. Otherwise, it'll just taste like a hunk of spelt, which might be your thing, but I prefer the herbs added in. And I have another spelt bread recipe coming very soon that I already recorded, and it will knock your socks off. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already. And I really appreciate all the new subscribers. Especially I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. What kind of recipes do you want to see? What kind of alkaline, vegan things do you want to eat? And now I'm oiling up the pan, and I'm just using grapeseed oil. You could also use avocado oil. And then I'm going to get in there by hand. And yeah, it's still too sticky. So we're going to add more flour. This should be in a nice ball, as you will see in a moment. And it should be fairly manageable, easy to handle once it is the correct thickness. Alright, see there, the last time I added quite a lot because I was sick of adding it. And there you have it. That should be what the dough looks like. Now I'm putting some on my hand so it doesn't get totally stuck in there. And yes, that is a better dough. Again, the bread hook, the dough hook in an electronic mixer makes this so easy. You can make bread in less than 5 minutes. But there is another step. There are another couple steps that are important to make sure it turns out well. And I'm also, not only did I oil the pan, but I'm also flouring the pan. This just makes sure that the bread pops right out and you don't have to dig around in there to get it out. This won't stick at all. This should be fine. Alright, it's ready to go, and I'm just plopping it in. This is even a little bit more wet than I sometimes make it, but this will work out very, very well. And sometimes I don't even go into the trouble of touching it after. I just plop it in and that's it. So now I'm covering it up. You can cover it with a damp cloth or plastic wrap and leave it for an hour. Leave it for at least an hour and we'll come back. Here we are unveiling it. There we go. It's almost ready to pop in the oven, but here's my next secret. Sea salt. Freshly ground on top. What is this going to do? Well, it's going to give it a nice salty crust. If you like salty crusts, this is the bread for you. Kind of like a soft pretzel. Pop it in the oven at 350, and we're going to leave it for about 60 minutes. Could even go in for 65, but you'll want to check it at 55 just to make sure. And I'm sticking something down into the center to make sure that it is done. Because if it's doughy in the middle, then it'll just stick to whatever you poke in there. And I was just using a toothpick. And here is the special oil. Truffle oil, which is a good quality olive oil, and that thyme that I grew at home, and sea salt. This is, the flavor will just knock your socks off. Let me know, especially make sure you try the dipping oil and don't stray from the recipe because I want to see what you think about this exact method. This turned out so well. I was very happy with the results, and after it cools down we're going to cut into it, slicing it up. Alright, here we go. Let's slice this boy. This bad boy. Ooh, this feels really good slicing into it. Perfect consistency. I like a nice crust, but the sparkling water helps to keep the inside a little bit fluffy. If you want to add 1 cup of rye flour, I would recommend doing that. 4 cups of spelt flour and 1 cup of rye flour. That would give this a little bit more fluff. And there you have it. Oh yeah, it's nice and hot. Here's the best part. Right on the edge. And we're gonna dip this into our exquisite oil, which again is just high quality olive oil, thyme, and I recommend you growing it yourself because it's always way better, and sea salt. And this just is the flavor combination to die for. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. I appreciate all the likes and the subscribers. I've been getting so many subscribers recently. I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in if you're new. I'm happy to have you, and let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the comments. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember, have an amazing day on purpose.